Okay, this is a walkthrough of June 2012 B1 and it's the foundation paper. Okay, just remember to look at the front, please, to remind you that this gives you the information down here, the only question where you're going to be marked on your grammar. So question 8 should be answered in continuous prose. So this is your 6th marker, okay, so it's at the end of your paper, so please make sure you leave enough time to answer it if it's at the end. You're going to be marked on your use of good English, organising your information clearly and using specialist vocabulary where appropriate. Okay, so let's make a start on question 1. Right, the nervous system allows humans to react to their surroundings. Sense organs have receptors. Receptors detect changes in the environment. Which word describes a change in the environment? Draw a ring around one answer. So the thing that detects a change in environment, we can either have effector, neuron or stimulus. Okay, well it's the one that describes a change in the environment is a stimulus. That's the thing that changes. The photograph shows a baby labelled A, B, C, D and E, and it shows some of the baby's sense organs. Answer each question by writing one letter, A, B, C, D or E in each box. So which sense organ has receptors sensitive to light? Well, that's going to be the baby's eyes, so that's going to be A. Which two sense organs have receptors sensitive to chemicals? Okay, well that's going to be chemicals in the air, in the nose, and chemicals in the mouth. Okay, so that's going to be D and C. Which sense organ has receptors sensitive to changes in the baby's position? Okay, that's going to be the ears. Your ears have your balance, okay, like a little mini spirit level in there, and if you go off balance, that's what's going to detect your balance. Okay, carrying on with the same theme then. Information from a sense organ A is passed along nerve cells. The information is coordinated to produce a response. Which organ in the body coordinates information? So when you've detected the stimulus by your sense organs, something has to make a decision to decide what you're going to do, and that's going to be your brain. Okay, if you had a written central nervous system, that would be absolutely fine, you still get the mark. Okay, it's the brain which makes the decision. Okay, right, question 2. Okay, it's question 2. Scientists measured the amounts of energy used by 4 people, A, B, C and D. The scientists also measured the amount of energy taken in as food by each person. The chart shows the scientists' results. So we've got the people on the side, and we've got the mean energy in kilojoules per day. So we've got the mean energy used by the body and the energy taken in as food. What was the mean amount of energy used by D? So if we look at person D, the amount of energy used by the body was 7,500 kilojoules per day. So we're just reading down there off that graph line. The amount of energy used by D is different from the amount of energy used by A, B and C. So these people are all using different amounts. So can we think about why somebody might want to use different amounts of energy? Well, they might do different amounts of exercise. Okay, they might also, would get marks if you said they were different ages or genders. That might be another thing. Okay, the more obvious ones you might have thought of, as long as different amounts of exercise, they might have different metabolic rates. Okay, so in terms of how fast they burn their energy. Person D may be pregnant as well. That might encourage them to use a bit more. We don't know if they're male or female, do we? So that could have also been a possibility. Okay, right, to part B. The data in the bar chart was collected over 12 months. Which person, A, B, C or D, would gain body mass over the 12 months? So let's have a look back at the graph here. Now, the person's going to gain mass is if they eat more food than they're going to use. So look at person A. They're taking in 7,500 and they're not quite using that much. So they are definitely going to gain some mass. This person's taking in 5,000, but they're burning 5,000. So we're definitely not going to look at person B. Person C is up to just beyond 7,500, and that's how much they're using. So again, it's not going to be that person there. And person D is actually using more energy than they're taking in. So it's going to be person A, because they're taking in more as food than they are using by the body. So it's going to be A as our answer. That's going to get us 1 mark. And then we need to give a reason, and that's because they are taking in more energy as food than they are using. Okay, right, to C. In the UK, many people are obese. Doctors advise obese people to lose mass. Suggest 2 different ways in which an obese person could lose mass. Well, they could eat less and exercise more. Okay, two marks, 2 straightforward things that probably already general knowledge to you in terms of how they might lose that mass. Okay, right, on to question 3. Okay, green plants are found at the start of all food chains. Complete the sentences. The source of energy for green plants is radiation from we just have to think about where the plant is going to get the energy from, and that's from the sun. Green plants absorb some of the light energy that reaches them for a process called, and this is going to be photosynthesis. Remember that photosynthesis uses light energy, water and carbon dioxide to get energy for the plant. Draw a ring around the correct answer to complete each sentence. This process, so photosynthesis, transfers light energy into what sort of energy? Well, plants don't make sounds, they don't make electricity, it's going to have to be chemical energy, and that's what the glucose is that the plant makes. This process uses which gas? Does it use carbon dioxide, oxygen or water? Well, photosynthesis uses carbon dioxide, okay? Remember that the equation for photosynthesis is carbon dioxide plus water produces oxygen and glucose. Okay, the process produces carbon containing compounds called carbohydrates, minerals or salts. Well, it's going to be a carbohydrate because that's what glucose is. Okay, right, on to part C of question 3. The amount of living material or biomass at each stage in a food chain is less than at the previous stage. The diagram shows a food chain. Give 2, so we've got oak tree to caterpillar to blue tit to hawk, and the arrows are showing the movement of energy. Tick 2 ways, and this 2 is in bold, so please tick 2 boxes, in which biomass is lost in the food chain. So, is it lost as carbon dioxide from the caterpillar, as food eaten by the hawk, as oxygen from the oak tree, or as feces from the blue tit? So if you think about how they're going to lose that energy, well, they are going to lose it as carbon dioxide from the caterpillar because the caterpillar is going to respire. So that will be respiration by the caterpillar, which gives off carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And we're also going to lose it as feces or droppings from the blue tit. Okay, we're not going to lose it as food eaten by the hawk because that would gain energy, and we're not going to lose it as oxygen from the oak tree either. Okay, question 4. Okay, when animals die, they usually fall to the ground and decay. In 1977, the body of a baby mammoth was discovered. The baby mammoth died 40,000 years ago and its body froze in ice. The picture shows the mammoth. Explain why the body of the baby mammoth did not decay. So you need to think about what conditions we need for decay that were absent. So we need warmth, we need moisture, and we need oxygen, and we need microbes. So which one of those things wouldn't we have when it was frozen, okay? And because its body was covered in ice here. So it would have been too cold, okay? And it would have been too cold for the microorganisms to work or to decay mammoth. Okay. Right, for B, mammoths are closely related to modern elephants. The pictures show these two elephants, what scientists think a mammoth looked like, and then a modern elephant on this side. Mammoths are extinct. What does extinct mean? Well, it means that the animal no longer exists. Okay. For C, scientists believe they may be able to use adult cell cloning to recreate a living mammoth. The scientists will use a skin cell from the baby mammoth. The diagram shows how the skin cell will be used. So they're taking the skin cell from the dead baby mammoth and they're taking out this little dot here, which is the nucleus of the cell. Okay, they're taking an adult female elephant and taking a cell out of her, taking away the nucleus but keeping the cell, and then putting that nucleus into it, and then that is becoming this ball here. Okay, now that ball there is the embryo. So the cell they've taken out of the female elephant is her egg cell, okay, because that's going to divide into an embryo. That is then going back into the elephant and producing the cloned mammoth. So in each question, draw a ring around the correct answer. What type of cell is cell A? Well, cell A has been taken from the female elephant and it is her egg cell, okay, that's coming out there. Part B is removed from cell A. What part of the cell is part B? And here again, we're taking out the nucleus because we don't want the nucleus from this one. We want all the genetic information from the mammoth so we can clone it. Okay, so the skin cell, we throw away the cell. We don't want the skin cell because skin cells don't turn into babies. We just want all the DNA out in the nucleus. We take the egg cell from the adult elephant. We take the nucleus out because we don't want the nucleus. We keep the egg cell, we put the nucleus into the egg cell and it reproduces to form an embryo. So after cell C is formed, it divides into embryo cells. What is done to cell C to make it divide? Well, it's given an electric shock, lots and lots of energy, and that starts it dividing into an embryo. The embryo cells form a ball of cells. The ball of cells we put into female elephant E. Which part of elephant E is the ball of cells put into? Well, it needs to be put into the part where the baby grows, and that is the womb. The scientists expect any offspring of the adult cell clone to look like a mammoth and not like an elephant. Why? Well, that is because what's coming here is all of the DNA or information from the mammoth and not from the adult female. So the reason why is because it has mammoth genes or chromosomes, something to that ilk. Okay, right, question 5. Okay, it's question 5. So thalidomide is a drug that was developed in the 1950s. In the 1950s, some pregnant women took thalidomide to prevent morning sickness during pregnancy. Today, thalidomide is not used to prevent morning sickness. Give one medical use of thalidomide today, and that is treating leprosy. Okay. Today, before a woman is given thalidomide, she is checked to see if she's pregnant and told to use 2 different methods of contraception at the same time. Give the reason why the woman is checked to see if she's pregnant. Well, she's checked to see if she's pregnant because it causes birth defects. And the woman is told to use 2 different forms of methods of contraception at the same time, and that will be to make sure she doesn't get pregnant while she's taking the drug. Okay, to make sure she does not get pregnant. Okay, so the information is about 2 types of contraceptive pill used by women. The combined pill contains 2 hormones taken for 21 days, then no pills taken for 7 days. It is more than 99% effective at preventing pregnancy. It increases chance of headaches and chance of breast cancer, but it does decrease the chance of cancer of the ovary. The mini pill contains just 1 hormone, must be taken at the same time every day. Okay, 99% effective at preventing pregnancy. It increases the chance of breast cancer. It's less than 99% effective at preventing pregnancy, and it increases the chance of breast cancer. So, which 2 hormones does the combined pill contain? So the pill contains estrogen and progesterone. It doesn't contain these 2. Remember, FSH is follicle stimulating hormone, and we don't want to stimulate follicles to develop, and we don't want LH because we don't want to increase the chance of ovulation. Give 2 advantages of taking the combined pill and not the mini pill. So we need to look back at that first list. Well, there's definitely this is more effective at preventing pregnancy, so that's 1 positive there. Okay, we've obviously got decreasing the chance of cancer of the ovary. It's taken for 21 days and no pills for 7 days. They don't have to remember pills for those 7 days. So that's an important point as well. So 2 advantages taking the combined pill and not the mini pill. We're going to put it decreases chance of cancer of the ovary, and it's more effective. Okay, so this one is greater than 99%, but that one is less than 99% effective. And finally, give 1 advantage of taking the mini pill and not the combined pill. We said the combined pill had an increased chance of headaches. It does have an increased chance of breast cancer, but so does the mini pill. So it'll be this one here that's the different one. So 1 advantage of taking the mini pill, there'll be less chance of headaches. Okay, right, on to question 6. Okay, question 6. Insecticides are chemicals which kill insects. Insecticides may be sprayed onto crops to increase crop yield. Killing insects on crops increases the crop yield. Suggest why? Well, it'll be because the insects which eat the crops can't eat them anymore because they're dead. Okay, so we'll just say that the insects do not eat the crop or damage the crop in any way. Right, a microorganism contains a gene which causes the production of an insect poison. Scientists transferred the gene for production of the insect poison into wheat plants. This makes genetically modified or GM wheat. The scientists grew wheat plants with the insect poison gene in fields and in greenhouses, grew wheat plants without the insect poison gene in fields and in greenhouses, and measured the crop yield of the wheat plants, and the bar chart shows the results below. So here we can see the crop yield of wheat plants in arbitrary units, and along the bottom we can see the type of plants, the wheat with the insect poison gene and the wheat without the insect poison gene. And we've got a key because the grey was grown in a greenhouse and the darker black was grown in the field. So what was the yield of the wheat with the insect poison gene? So the insect poison gene grown in a greenhouse, so grey is grown in a greenhouse, so the yield was 60, so we can just read it off on the graph there, so 60 arbitrary units. Right, 6b. The yield from wheat without the insect poison gene grown in greenhouses was different from the yield you gave in BI. Describe the yield. So the yield from the wheat without the insect poison gene grown in greenhouses. So this is without in greenhouses, and it says describe the difference. So look back at the question, describe. This means they just want to know what has happened. So has it gone up? Has it gone down? By how much? It's not said explain. It's not asked why. It's just asked to describe. So let's have a look. So it's definitely gone down from 60, because 60 would have been here. And we need to work out what it's gone down by. So we need to look at our scale. So if it's going up in 20s, In there is going to be 10. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gaps when it's worth 10. So each little square is going to be worth 2. And it's gone up to this point here. So we can look and count up. So we've got from 40, 42, 44, 46, 48, 50, 52. So it's gone from 60 to 52. So it's gone down by a total of 8. Okay, so we can say the yield has decreased by 8, and then you could write arbitrary units, which it says on the side of your graph. Okay, look again at the bar chart. What advice would you give to a farmer about the type of wheat to grow in his fields? Give a reason for your answer. So what does he want to grow in his field? Well, if we look at the wheat grown in the field, we can see that this one had a much bigger yield than that one there. So we would advise him to grow the wheat without the insect poison gene in his field, okay, because that had a higher yield. So he is going to grow the wheat without the insect poison gene because it says give a reason for your answer, because it has a higher yield. Okay. Some people are concerned about the use of GM crops. Why? Well, they're really worried that it's going to have an impact on the food chain. So they are concerned that if it goes and is eaten by people, that there could be some harm there. Okay, so the first one we could say is that there might be an effect of eating genetically modified or GM crops on human health, and also there could be an effect on any wild flowers or insects, because we don't know the effect of those eating it, and we don't know if it can pass on to wild flowers. So it could affect wild flowers if it spread. Okay. You can't just say it would harm the environment. It's a little bit like saying it's just pollution. You need to clarify what you mean by harming the environment. Is it destroying a habitat, etc.? And the same when pollution, you have to talk about noise or sound. So in this case, we're going to say it could affect wildflowers if it spreads. Okay, or it could affect insect population. You could talk about that. Okay, so if our insects decrease and the things that eat our insects, maybe insect eating birds, they're going to have a decrease. It's going to have a big knock on the food chain. So again, you could go into more detail on that point there. This is the key one, the fact of eating it, the knock on effect on the food chain and going to humans or larger animals, but it could also affect the population of insects. Okay, that is the end then of question 6. Question 1 states that scientists at a drug company developed a new pain-killing drug, drug X. Painkillers do not cure infectious diseases. Why? Well, a painkiller doesn't kill the pathogen, okay? So it, that's not very good English, is it? Doesn't kill the pathogen. Okay, you could have said bacteria or virus, etc. But the idea is a painkiller doesn't kill anything, it just helps relieve the symptoms. Okay, right, let's carry on with the question. The scientist compares drug X with 2 other pain-killing drugs, drug A and drug B. In their investigation, the scientist chose 600 volunteers, the volunteers were all in pain, gave 200 of the volunteers a standard dose of drug A, gave 200 of the volunteers a standard dose of drug B, and gave 200 of the volunteers a standard dose of drug X. Over the next 7 hours, the volunteers recorded how much pain they felt. To get valid results, so this V, think variables, To get valid results, the 3 groups of volunteers should be matched for as many factors as possible. Suggest 2 of the factors that should be matched. So what this is saying is, what are your control variables? What things do we want to keep the same in all of these people, okay, to make sure it's a fair test. So things that would be good would be things like your age, the gender, so male or female, how much pain they're in, because if someone's in loads of pain, someone's in not a lot of pain, that wouldn't really be very fair. You can then for the type of illness, their weight or their mass, their body mass, okay. So if we put age, that would be fine as well, and we could have amount of pain they had before trial. Okay, so there's a good answer for that one. Right, on to the graph question then. 1C. The graph shows the results of the investigation. So let's look at this first before we go on to the question. The mean percentage decrease in pain here. So this is how much they're decreasing in pain. The time in hours after taking the drug. So we can see that after taking the drug, after 1 hour, all of them have shown a decrease in pain. Drug X showing the most decrease in pain, A being the lowest and B sitting somewhere in the middle. So let's look at the question it's going to ask us about. So, how much pain did the volunteers still feel 4 hours after taking drug A? So let's check this on after 4 hours. So after 4 hours of taking drug A, and we read across there to here, their mean decrease in pain, percentage decrease is 25%. Okay, so if they had 100% and they've decreased by 25%, they're still going to feel, okay, 75%. And that caught out an awful lot of students in the year this paper was sat. They all wrote 25 because they read the number straight off the graph and did not read the axes. Give one advantage of taking drug A and not taking drug B. Okay, so what's one advantage of taking drug A and not drug B? So if we compare drug A and drug B, we can see that drug A seemed to act faster, didn't it? Because if you see here, it's hit the pain relief after 1.5 hours at sort of about 65%, 70% pain relief, whereas drug B took nearly 3 hours to reach its peak. So it was certainly faster. Drug A gave faster pain relief, so we'll put that one in here. Okay, so faster pain relief. Right, give 2 advantages of taking drug B and not drug A, so the alternative way round. So let's have a look. 2 advantages of taking drug B and not drug A. So let's have a look at this one. Well, drug A falls away really quite quickly. So after after sort of 2 hours, you're now getting an increase in pain again because the decrease in pain is dropping away. So they're going to start to feel more pain. So their decrease in pain doesn't last very long, whereas drug B lasts much longer. Okay, so, and it also eventually, even though it takes longer, does get to a higher decrease in pain, whereas drug A only gets here. Drug B is reaching a decrease in pain somewhere over there. So B does give them more pain relief, and it lasts much longer. Okay, so 2 advantage is the decrease in pain is higher, okay, and the other point is the decrease in pain lasts longer. Okay, so that's the 2 advantages there. Again, I've just bullet pointed these. I'm getting no marks or paragraphs. It's asked me for 2 in bold. I've given 2 clear statements. Okay, drug X is much more expensive than A and B. A pharmacist advised a customer that it would be as good to take drug A and drug B together instead of drug X. Do you agree with their advice? Give your reasons for your answer. Now we need 3 marks here, so we need 3 clear things. Now we could give fors and against, absolutely fine. We're not going to get a mark for yes or no, so you could give pros and cons if you couldn't think of 3 straight away things. So let's have a look at drug X. What are the advantages? Well, the advantages are, again, we get almost 100% pain relief with drug X, so that would probably be a good reason. And again, it's pretty rapid. It follows the same line as drug A and then keeps going. So, you know, if you have a look here, when it's reached its peak, it's still before the peak on B. So it gives more pain relief and it does it much faster, okay? So that would be quite useful. But we do know that it costs quite a lot more money, so that would be a negative, wouldn't it? We could also think that it's not a great idea because if we take two drugs together, could they have a problem? Could they have a side effect? Could this person overdose? Okay, so again, that's probably something we could give an argument against. So the drug X is more expensive than drug A and B. A pharmacist advises a customer that it would be just as good to take drug A and B together instead of drug X. Do you agree with the pharmacist's advice? Okay, so we're going to say we don't agree with A and B. No, because taking two drugs together may interact with each other and they may overdose. So that's 2 marks there. The idea of interacting and the idea of an overdose would get a mark, okay? However, okay, A and B, what we're going to say is positive about those. So A and B cost less than X, and drug B gives pretty long lasting pain relief compared to X. So that is a slight benefit there in B. We can get the rapidness from A and the long lasting bit from B. So it almost covers it for the pharmacist, okay? So however, A and B cost less than X and A provides rapid pain relief and B provides long lasting pain relief. Okay, so both points there, so we can ensure we get all 3 marks for that question. Okay, right, let's go on to question 2. This is the bit where we were told at the very start, this is the one we were going to mark for good English, organising information clearly and using specialist terms where appropriate. So this is where we need to think, have a little pause, plan it out and then start your question. Plants and animals have become adapted in many different ways to reduce the risk of being eaten by predators. So we are describing the adaptations that reduce the risk of being eaten by predators. Okay, very important. We're not asking how they can survive in dry conditions. It's specifically about how they can not be eaten by predators, and we need to stay with that theme, otherwise we're not going to gain the marks. It also asks us to give examples of animals and plants. So if we only do one, again, we're not going to get the marks here. So let's have a little think about how animals and plants can be adapted to reduce the risk of being eaten by predators. So you might think that some plants have spikes or thorns, and that will prevent predators from eating them as they are sharp. So we want a full sentence, okay? So some plants have spikes that will prevent predators from eating them as they're sharp. So what else can things have? Well, some animals might have camouflage so they can hide, so they aren't eaten by their predators. So some animals may be camouflaged so predators cannot see them to hunt them. Okay, so there's a good couple of points there, but we are going for 6. So I think we probably need at least 2 more to get those extra marks. Let's think, what else could animals or plants have in order to prevent predators? Well, if you think about herbivores that are often hunted by carnivores, like cows and sheep, things that we see every day, their eyes are on the side of their head. They're really good field of vision, whereas most carnivores, their eyes are at the front of their heads. They can get good depth perception for hunting. So we could talk about the position of the eyes and also large ears. They can hear their predators coming. So some animals may have eyes at the side of their head to detect or increase their field of view so they can see a predator more easily. Okay, we could also talk about some animals that have a real nasty taste to them, or poison. So some animals really don't rate taste very nice. So the animal eating it might actually spit it out before they kill it, or they're less likely to go and hunt anybody else. Okay, so we can say that again, some animals or plants may have a bad taste or poison which makes the predator spit them out or stop eating them. Okay, so I think we've got enough points there in terms of covering what we've done, but we have mentioned something they've got and why it stops the predators from getting them. So we've explained every single point. We haven't just described the feature, we've explained how it reduces the chance of the predators getting them. Okay, right, on to question 4.